Is that?
I'm ready, I'm just turning the sound
No,
down.
I'm sorry. You good? Alright. We'll call this meeting of the Jamestown City Council Monday night, August 19th, work session to order. The clerk is not here. We don't have a clerk tonight, but I'll make note that all council is present. All 9 council people are here for the record. At this time, we will give opportunity for the public to speak to the council. If you want to address the council tonight, please give your name and address and limit your remarks to 5 minutes. If anyone wants to speak, go ahead. Sir.
Thank you, President Dulce. Looking around the room, fellow parents of my generation, our children did sports, did theater together, longtime neighbor across the street on Lakeview. I'm Fred Larson, among other things. I'm your retired city court judge. I now live on Pleasant View Drive. I have a prepared statement. I promised President Dulce on my way out I'd give him a copy. Who wrote this defamatory resolution? Has the City Council enacted a resolution authorizing outside counsel in this matter? Your corporation counsel could not have written the resolution because your corporation counsel prepared the agreement I signed exactly as presented to me for the retiree dental insurance benefit. In any dispute about the retiree dental insurance, could your corporation counsel be a witness for me? In America, we have a right to confront our accuser. Who wrote this defamatory resolution? With the mandatory retirement as your city court judge at age 70 on December 31, 2021, I applied for the retiree dental insurance, which I understood I was entitled to, just as retired city court judge Alessi had been given in 1993. In fact, I alerted your insurance department in the summer of 2020 to be prepared for my application for the retiree benefit as of January 1 of 2022. As a retired city court judge, and therefore a private citizen holding no elected or appointed public office, I signed an agreement prepared by your corporation counsel regarding retiree dental insurance. If there was something procedurally missing here, that is an error of the city, not of mine. For the record, I never requested that the agreement be confidential. Why is it that this defamatory resolution is before the council? Could it be I am being defamed because I had the courage to run for the county legislature and win against an incumbent Republican who was on Assemblyman Goodell's payroll for $75,000 in 2023?
Could be.
Could it be I am being defamed because I wrote a truthful essay for the July 27 Post-Journal about the city government's DPW garage debacle on Washington Street? The author of this defamatory resolution, out of actual malice, has made several inaccurate statements, and despite including unusual detail, left out essential and material details. This resolution is vile, vicious, and vindictive. First, the city knows that the last city court judge to retire before me at age 60 received city retiree health benefits, although he had been on the state payroll for 15 years before retiring in 1993. Second, the city knows that the State Office of Court Administration, by a March 24, 2022 email, had no objection to the city offering a dental insurance benefit to me as a retired city court judge. Third, the city knows that its corporation counsel prepared the agreement I signed, confirming I would have the retiree dental insurance benefit. Fourth, the city had its paralegal send a letter dated May 10, 2024, immediately canceling my dental insurance and promising to send me a refund of part of the retiree's premium I had prepaid for all of 2024. Fifth, after Andrew Goodell contacted me, apparently at the request of Mayor Eklund, I sent him a letter dated August 1, 2024, agreeing to the terms of the city's letter of May 10, 2024 to settle this matter. How is it that Andrew Goodell, a non-city employee, obtained access to my and my wife's confidential health records? As of August 1, 2024, having agreed to the city's terms of May 10, 2024, Why is this defamatory resolution here tonight? It has but one purpose: to defame me as widely as possible in this community, a community I have served for 45 years. Who could be so vile, vicious, and vindictive as to subject my family to this public humiliation and nightmare? The money Eklund and Goodell now demand, $1,576.70, instead of the refund promised in the city's May 10, 2024 letter, is under the $5,000 jurisdictional limit of small claims court. The city of Jamestown does not even need a lawyer to present its claim in small claims court. So why is this defamatory resolution here tonight? This city is using this dispute to make sure that as many thousands of my former clients and as many thousands of county legislature District 12 constituents as possible would see my good name dragged through the mud. Mayor Eklund, with the apparent assistance of Andrew Goodell, has, with actual malice, subjected my family to a living nightmare since Thursday night. For starters, including but not limited to mitigate the great damage done to me and my family, I demand a public written apology from Mayor Eklund and from Andrew Goodell by next Monday, August 26th. I demand the withdrawal of this defamatory resolution from the City Council agenda. Thank you for hearing me.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the council?
Thank you, Mr. President. Real quick, there's not much I can add to Judge Larson's statement. It's very thorough and I think on point. I'm here as a friend, as a colleague, just to say I'm in support of him, and I'm disappointed by an administration that would take steps like this to defame him.
I just have a quick question for you. Sir,
Yes, sir.
I have a quick question for you. You're an employee of Frewsburg, correct?
I'm retired.
Okay, but you were, right?
Yes.
Okay. You were a teacher, correct?
Yeah.
For how many years?
39 years.
Were you part of a union?
Yes.
Okay. Did your union bargain for benefits for you?
They did.
Okay. Retirement, insurance, and everything else, right?
They did.
So I was too. I was part of a union for 23 years. And there was people that came before me for decades, union members, presidents, and everything that fought for the benefits that I actually enjoy still today. So I'm a little upset over the fact that someone that's not part of a union, was not part of a union, gets the same sort of benefit that I enjoy today, and it's just handed to them, and they didn't have to fight for it. And from what I understand, Judge Alessi was a city employee at one time. So
In
That's-
1976, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
He was a city judge, and now. Mr.
So
Larson-
I would say
That
this to
makes a big
Mr.
difference.
I would say this to Mr. Larson, but he dipped out the door, so. But yeah, I'm just making a statement that,
Mhm.
you know, there's people in my previous department from decades back that had to fight for these benefits. And now these same benefits were handed out to a judge that was on his way out the door. I would dare to venture that Judge Lamacuso
Agreed upon
would just,
by your corporation council.
what's that?
The corporation council agreed upon this. That was, if I made a.
Obviously,
retirement-
this was a backdoor deal done by former Mayor Suncliffe, is what it was a backdoor deal. Without this council knowing anything about it. Knew nothing about it. So we approved the financial benefit, the former mayor did.
You just said
We, as in the city,
said-
without the knowledge of this council or other council members prior to us, it was done behind our back is what happened. And that's what upsets me. And a benefit was given to someone that didn't deserve it. And a union didn't fight for him to get that benefit. Just like you enjoy your benefits now with your retirement. How would you like it if a non-union member in your police, or in your school district got a benefit that you now enjoy that wasn't fought for?
If our administrator negotiated for benefits with the school board, and the school board agreed with those, I would say those are binding, and that's what is happening here. This is $1,500. How
Let's
much will
pretend we're the
city
school
pay?
board, it wasn't negotiated with us.
Well, So now, let's say there's a new school board at Bloomsburg, and they say, oh, by the way, Mr. Nelson, those benefits you negotiated for when you retired are no longer available. That's, they can't
This
do
can be solved really easily, without all the drama, without people being dragged through the mud, is Mr. Larson can pay the city back $1,576 and some odd cents, okay? And we're done with it. It's as simple as that. Just pay the money back for the benefit that you didn't earn or deserve, and this is done with. I mean, I don't wanna speak for the mayor, I don't wanna speak for corporation council, or whoever's gonna handle this situation. Just do the right thing. Don't come in here and grandstand and everything else, just do the right thing. Pay the money back to the citizens of Jamestown, and this goes away. But sometimes people try to fight for things for the principle of a matter, and sometimes the principle of a matter can be very costly, both emotionally or economically.
It's gonna cost the city.
No, pay the money back, $1,576, and be done with it.
I think another simple element to this is non-city employees don't get this benefit.
Correct.
He was not a city employee.
Yes.
He was an employee of the state.
But
of
the-
New
That was the
And
mistake
he
that
brought
was
up
made.
Mr. Alessi, who was at one time a city employee. So that factors out completely what he is. It's a completely different thing. I'm really appalled at what he's tried to do. He was making over $100,000 a year, and I've known him for a long time. Over $100,000 a year, and he wants us to give him dental insurance that he doesn't deserve. And everything in this, I'm talking right now, everything in this resolution is true. Okay? And we tried to keep this private and personal and get it without any public knowledge, right? And we wrote him, and a letter was written to him, right? But Mr. Larson is always right, so he's doing what he's doing. And that's fine, he's got that right, but we tried to do this the right way. The mayor tried to do it the right way, we all tried to do it the right way. This council, like Mr. Russell said, knew nothing about it, I wasn't here, but they knew nothing about this deal. And yeah, it was definitely a backdoor deal. So to say it's legitimate, and apparently, and I'm right, if I'm right, Mayor, there is a law on the books that's saying he has no right to it. Am I correct in saying that?
So we have to be careful because this is in litigation.
Okay,
So probably,
all right.
I think,
I'm just giving,
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
mean, really,
everybody,
I've had a lot of
Mr.
comments.
Larson had his moment, and he's left the thing, and as I mentioned over in finance, we certainly hope that this could be resolved in a different manner, but, we'll just move on and,
Okay. I've said my piece.
Yep. Anyone else like to address the council this evening?
Might as well do it. Okay.
Do I just start?
Name,
I'm Trace Navio. I live at the Artist Parkway. I'm just here because why not? I've got some things to say, and obviously this is the time to say it. I don't know. Seems like maybe you posed some good questions. Just based on what we were hearing before, what I was just listening to. I think that I need to speak about, just the image that a lot of people are thinking out there that I myself have heard a lot about. People are wondering why there's no commenting on social media, and I get it, it's just social media, but that is an active discussion platform for citizens to be able to come and not have to physically show up somewhere. I mean, we're past that point. This was great for the pre-internet people. 1776, great, show up and have your voice heard. Now we've got the internet. I think that not only is it disrespect to us to do the things you have been doing and to stop the things you have been stopping, it isn't in the name of transparency. It seems it's more an ethos of opacity.
Can you
we'd like
explain
to
what you're
have
referring to?
the Facebook page.
We don't-
It's just
The
a
council
Facebook
doesn't
page.
run the Facebook page.
I get it, but it's a municipality run Facebook page. I know maybe one of you don't do it, but it's on the payroll of somebody who does. For, I would imagine, the mayor's administration. I don't know that. That's a question to answer, possibly through a Facebook page, a post. We're not in 1984. We're in 2024, and we can not only use the platforms we're given to, have these basic discussions, but you can absolutely use these not only for these basic discussions, but for your own. I've got it written down and now I'm losing it, so whatever.
Excuse me, can I just interrupt you real quick?
Please do.
I don't know what you're talking about. Could you start something not being done or something, I don't have a.
So
clue
they
what you're talking
took down the commenting on, not only that, they bashed Facebook as a platform to have public discussion first, then took down the ability to comment on any post, period, and now have put out like a chalkboard and now there's a special meeting. Right,
Can
the day after,
can I interject first of all?
I'm actually talking right now, sorry, just a
I
second.
know, but the chalkboard was not from the mayor's office.
Exactly.
Okay.
Continue.
Oh, cool. Great. Either way, where was it from then? How are you not in control of
I
all
can
that stuff?
explain the chalkboard if you would like me to.
Explain it.
So the city is undergoing a comprehensive plan and zoning code update.
Mhm.
And so the chalkboard was something that was created by our consultant and brought to the coffee shop looking for some comments and some ideas from the public.
Yeah.
And
How would public know about this? I have no idea about the code thing. I
so
actually haven't been paying attention.
the public goes to the coffee shop. It was meant for engagement while people are
Did
patroning
you have
the coffee shop.
the code thing there for people to read? To be able to know?
No, it has just started. It's just begun. So it was
So it was
just
too
an
early to do
idea
that.
board. It was just an idea board. It was just there for fun, to generate some ideas and to get people thinking and talking about what they
Taking
might like
people's
to
ability
see.
to comment things isn't fun.
Okay,
and
but
make them go to a business
sir,
that is just
sir,
open only for time,
Sir,
short time per day, is not
you
fun.
asked me to tell you what it was about.
You
I am
also
telling
interrupted so you could say that.
you.
She's trying to explain to
You
you that
allowed
you're,
me.
you're
I
two
asked you
different things.
permission.
Great.
The
They are two
Facebook thing is
completely
one
different
thing,
things,
this is
and
a
they are
different thing.
completely different initiatives done by completely different people.
There's
So-
no correlation between the two.
Yeah, but they were, okay, so where's the beginning and end of the power here? Where do we have points that, these are done in the name of Jamestown municipality. How is that not your jurisdiction?
You mean our jurisdiction?
I'm not using the correct words, I'm not a professional here, I'm
You
just a
want to
person who
comment,
came
you
out
don't
here.
want to comment.
No, we do, we want a better way to comment. Why should I have to show up in person to go down there and write on a little thing
You
that
don't
could just
have
get
to, but
erased
if you
and?
patron the coffee shop where it was put up, you could have absolutely offered
That's
your
not the
thoughts
point.
on
It needs to be more available
But
for a broader
you
audience.
condemning that
Yes.
effort that was done by somebody who doesn't actually even work in the city, it was a consulting team
So you
that was
hired them.
working on the comprehensive plan.
Okay,
And not only that, but frankly, the comments that were put on Facebook about it being there and what the public did to that coffee shop and to the coffee shop owners was absolutely the reason. And I can't speak for the mayor and I can't speak for the mayor's page because I have nothing to do with it. But there's a reason that the comments were taken down, and it's because people were absolutely horrible
so
to the coffee
so
shop
people are mad.
and about the whole
People are
thing.
not happy about
There
this.
is no room for bullying. It's not okay on any space.
It's still not okay
It's
to
not okay in
take
any
comments
space.
down and
So
censor people either.
there's no censoring, and I'll let the attorney speak to that at the end.
Okay. Also, the homeless people in this town, we shove them out. Great. Okay, perfect. Let's say that happens and they're all gone. Where do they go? They're just somebody else's problem? Has that been answered? I know I've asked it. A lot of people have asked it. What do we do? There's people down there, and There was a guy coming down to help, right? We all know, that was blasted all over social media. Dude came down to help, and then you guys kicked him out of the fucking space that they were in.
Excuse me, we're
That's
not
it.
doing that. Okay, your
My
time is
bad.
up,
I'm
thank
speaking
you.
candidly.
Your time
Yes.
is up. Next, anybody else like to
Absolutely.
speak?
Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, thank you. I'll watch the rest of it.
I will address that later.
Right.
if you want.
I'll jump in right here. So the city has.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll be watching.
So I will say the city has an option with its Facebook page. It can either use it as a page for announcements or for one is for community discussion. Earlier this year, as far as community discussion, that did become pretty hostile. So the city is using its Facebook page to make announcements about events and activities happening within the city. And as it's just purely an announcement, it's like a bulletin board. No comments, but members of the public are welcome to see what's on there and inquire with the mayor's office or certain departments for more information.
Can you also mention that there was litigation involving the city's Facebook pages and
Yes. So there was litigation earlier this year. There was a Supreme Court case with respect to how cities handle their Facebook pages. So it's either all comments have to be allowed or none at all, depending on whether or not it's being used as a bulletin board for posting or whether or not it's a community forum. As you know, Facebook is a private company. We do not have to use private companies.
Just real quick, with you being involved in employees, and if we decided to have comments on there and we had to police all those comments 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that could be a financial burden to the city to be monitoring that constantly, to have potentially take down, vulgarities, or that could be an extra cost to the city. Would that be correct?
correct, my staff is paid 8 to 4:30, and Facebook would have to be monitored 24/7, yes.
Okay.
Cause you can't control hours that someone can or cannot comment.
As a case in point, also, the city of Buffalo on their Facebook page does not allow comments.
Many municipalities do.
Right.
Because of this new litigation, it's an ongoing issue.
I think
But there's still, just to clarify, because I don't think anyone's brought it up, there's still obviously ways that the citizens can contact
Correct.
the city through, my phone number is on the city website. They can call City Hall, they can email you, they can email your
The
staff.
Facebook
they can
page has a
email us.
message button, you can
Correct.
still message through it.
Sure.
You can, like Jeff said, you can email, Councilman Russell, excuse me. You can email, you can call, you can come here, you can set up an appointment, you can physically email all council members, you can call council members. You can email, call each department. There's plenty of ways to communicate. We haven't violated anybody's First Amendment rights. We made sure that we were within the legality of doing so. They still have an avenue to reach out to us. And I'm gonna be brutally honest, Facebook was becoming tough on mental health. And it's not healthy for people to see that. And here I am trying to get new business and new people to Jamestown, and they click on our Facebook page, and it's nothing but arguing. Whether it's arguing with the city, arguing amongst each other, comments back and forth, that's not inviting. So,
inappropriate, vulgar.
yes, and part of the reason was the final straw was the litigation, and we saw where this was heading. So it wasn't entered into as a lightly thing or a he said, she said thing. It's to protect everybody. Because ultimately, whoever makes those vulgar comments can also be brought in on litigation. So it was a protection of everybody.
And it's unfortunate that people can't have civil conversations over social media if they run into someone at Tops or Wegmans. I think there's people that would not talk that way to someone's face, the way they talk on social media. They get real brave when they're in front of that keyboard and they say things that they normally wouldn't say to someone's face if they were out in the public. Like they have this veil of protection over them or something. So I agree with the mayor. There's a lot of bullying and horrible things that go on, and people thrive off that. And frankly, it's toxic.
Anyone else like to speak?
Keep saying I don't want to do it, but Melissa Patterson, 346 Faulkner Street. I am going to talk about what Mr. Manavio talked about and piggyback off what Mr. Russell said is the the hatred and the bullying and the comments on Facebook are absolutely disgusting. And I don't care if you agree or you don't agree, but this isn't helping anyone. You know, that guy came down from Buffalo, and what did that cause? He shut his comments off on his Facebook. Because I went and I checked it out. And how fair is that? He put stuff up about Jamestown coming down from Buffalo, and they have their own problems there. And it's just tiring day in and day out, continuing to watch the city try to work hard to get the right services that isn't even their job. That's the agency's jobs in this city, you know, to take control and to get people housing. You know, I kept telling myself, I'm not going to drive by the viaduct because it was affecting my mental health. To see these people, I went to the count that morning. And the way that people make it sound like Mayor Eklund's this monster that wants to get rid of the homeless, that's not the case. You know, and when people say their opinion on Facebook, people believe that sometimes. And they believe what you write when it's not the truth. Or they believe what you say and it's not the truth. Because these people don't have privy information. They don't come and sit in the room. Everyone in this city has 180 minutes available to them every single year to speak to this council. 5 times, 5 minutes, 3 times a month. And they choose not to do it. They choose to sit on Facebook and do the rhetoric that divides the city, and then I get accused of causing divide because I speak my mind. I speak my mind because I'm out there helping. I'm bringing corn to the St. Susan Soup Kitchen, but I thanked the place that did it. I didn't take credit for it. I could have taken credit because I'm the one who set it up. But I chose not to do that because that's not what you need. You don't need to pat yourself on the back for helping the homeless or giving them things that they don't need. Because, I don't know, I don't want to get on a tangent about that, but I just want to say thank you to the city for diligently working hard and trying to set all of this up and get people working together. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, my name is Stephanie Baird. I live on Stowe Street in Jamestown here. Own a home with my husband. We've lived there since 2007. I've lived in Chautauqua County most of my life. I left for a little bit and came back. But I grew up down the road in Lakewood, so I feel like I have a stake in what's going on in the community here, very much. We are working class people, okay? I'm a registered nurse. I sit at a desk now for my job, but I used to be an ER nurse, and right here in Jamestown, at the former WCA. And why do I choose to tell you that part? Well, because I want you to understand where I'm coming from when I say that I've taken care of patients with gunshot wounds, and I've held the hands of rape victims, and I've taken care of people in their last dying breath. And I've been there for families in crisis. I've dealt with drug overdoses, stabbings. I've seen a lot, okay? And yes, I have had many experience with the street folks, the homeless people that we're talking about here. And every single one of those human beings has a story if we're willing to listen to them. In our little rural area, we are not accustomed to seeing unhoused people, especially out in the open. When I used to live in Buffalo, I would see them all the time, and it was a common occurrence. When I've traveled, I've encountered street people. I've, had conversations with them. A lot of them are having untreated mental health issues, active addiction, often both. Behaviors can be erratic. It's downright scary sometimes. They can be scary, disheveled, even foul-smelling, right? So I do understand that a lot of people's first reaction, their reflex, is that they want to be rid of the problem. Why not just move those people out of sight so that we don't have to be reminded that they even exist? Jamestown is far from rich town. We all know that poverty is a chronic problem here. 28.2% of our population is below the federal poverty line. In a town of 28,000, that's about 8,000 people. Almost a third of our population is living below poverty. And we all know, even no matter what our income, how ridiculous prices are on things right now. You go to the grocery store, we're all feeling the pinch, right? Everything is so much more expensive. Folks are struggling. But as a working class person, I was raised to help each other out, okay? I was raised to do that and to support my community. So in October, I became one of the people that has one of the little pantries that you see around town, just to offer a little help to our neighbors, just to show people that someone actually cares. And it's been very eye-opening for me, even despite my experiences that I've told you about. Okay, the actual need is tremendous. Even with donations, we literally can't keep it filled. I put stuff in and it's gone just a little while later. Everything from canned soup to toilet paper to cat food, gone. So today after work, I came home and there were 2 young girls out there, they're sisters. They come to the pantry just about every single day. They have a large family. Their family can't keep up, so they come and they get snacks, they get what they can from there, and sometimes I put little treats out for them. But back to the homeless situation. I'm fully aware that towns all around the country are doing sweeps, okay, homeless sweeps, because now we have all been given permission to do so by the highest court in the land, so it's legal, right? Okay? But is it moral? Their crime is they have nowhere to go. Finding people who have no money to pay, throwing away their possessions. I actually heard from someone that firsthand that there were some people who had their stuff destroyed. Clothes, tents, okay? I gave a tent away before I came here. I'm gonna tell you that. Alright? So throwing away their possessions sounds pretty cruel, sounds traumatic to me. So hey, what do you suppose happens when your license or your birth certificate, if you don't have those things, or if they're lost, expired, you can't get a job, you can't get an apartment, you can't even get food stamps. Guess what? You can't even get a room in Westfield where we're sending people, okay? There are people who DSS can't even help because they don't have their ID. Did you know that former foster kids, who I used to work with, by the way, before I became a nurse, have a much higher rate of being unhoused? One statistic I found was that was between 31% and 46% of youth exiting foster care will experience homelessness by the age of 26. They often, probably usually, are not given the life skills to make it out in the world on their own. And let's face it, they typically don't have reliable family to back them up. And how many young adults do you know that are not really self-sufficient, would maybe be homeless themselves, or certainly struggle a lot if it weren't for help from parents or grandparents? Most of us are only a few missed paychecks away from devastating circumstances. We really don't have much of a safety net in 2024, yet the city of Jamestown has chosen to further traumatize people who are just trying to survive. And our society has decided that certain people just don't matter, that their voices don't count, and I feel that Jamestown has made the homeless into a convenient scapegoat. Thank you.
Can I ask where your pantry's at?
Stowe Street?
Oh, at your house, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the address?
311.
311?
Mm-hmm. So it's over by Washington School.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council?
Well, I'm gonna change the subject a little bit, but something's got me upset because what I heard earlier from a county legislator is his self-interest, and as his constituent, I've never seen him ever come down to city council to perceive what the problems in the city are. In other words, he's never represented me physically at anything that the city's ever been involved in. So, I mean, he's here on his own interests, and I understand that, but the point is too, that if you're gonna represent a community as a county legislator, you probably ought to take an interest in what the community's all about. Enough said about that. I'm here to talk about bail reform. Why is this little guy talking about bail reform? I spent some time trying to look at this issue as it affects this community and our police department. Why should I even bring it up? You all know about it, and the issues at hand are state engendered. But that's the reason why I decided to talk about it. And I even did my own little gathering of information, and the words that I'm going to present to you are not mine. They're from the first Assistant District Attorney, which I had asked to come tonight, but he wants to be invited by the City Council. And I understand that. Not to be invited by me. So here's what we talked about. I put it in some bullet forms. Since 2019, the New York State Legislature has passed a series of laws that have made it easier for people to commit crimes. 4 points. They eliminated cash bail for over 400 crimes, including most felony offenses. They have eliminated judicial discretion in setting bail. They made it harder for judges to issue warrants for failure to appear. They made it harder for cases to be prosecuted. These changes have created an unnecessary redundancy, the arrest and release of repeat offenders, which is causing law enforcement to work twice as hard on the same repeat offenders. Why is this important? It's important because the costs associated with public safety, which by the way cannot be considered in terms of any violation associated with non-bail offense. You can't match. So all the drug use, all the prosecution, all the arrests is not public safety? Is it a personal safety situation? And I know what I'm saying tonight doesn't mean a hill of beans in the sense of what can be done. But what I'm asking tonight is for City Council, and yes, it does affect the homeless, because the homeless are involved with things that they can't control in many different ways. And therefore, bail reform perpetuates a situation for more people being on the streets contributing to issues that are called felonies. I'm asking for City Council to reach back to the state of New York and say, enough is enough. And I also would like to see the costs associated with the perpetuation of rearrest. I talked earlier, it's a very difficult thing for the police department to come up with. I don't care if you send them a bill that they're not going to pay, which they won't, that says it's costing the city of Jamestown $2 million a year to continue the perpetuation of crime. Everybody in this room can be affected by a violent situation. And then that violence was perpetuated to you on is all of a sudden released on its own recognizance. So that person is around the city and a crime was committed. I mean, I read about them in the paper all the time. It's been going on forever. But I just want to bring it out as a citizen that I don't want to see your wife, your child, your grandparents involved in a violent situation and then there's no bail. There's nothing. They're back out in the street. I bet the chief can say, he doesn't have to. The perpetuation of crime is because of bail reform. There's no punishment. It used to be in my time, you did the crime, you did the time, or you paid the fine. That doesn't exist. Don't do anything now. Nothing. So just go back at it in a perspective of telling the state, if you want bail reform, then pay us money to stop the perpetuation of crime. Simple as that, a letter, and bill them for all the work that these guys have to do continuously. You know, insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again. That's what we're doing here with crime.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to council?
I will. My name is Melissa Dunford. I live at 130 Emery Drive. I moved here with my son, Jaden, who is just graduated from Jamestown. My husband is Sergeant Jason Dunford. He was killed in action in Iraq War on Christmas Day 2006. He's from Cattaraugus County. We came here. Jamestown is amazing. I don't know what people like on basis. But I love it here. I love my neighbors. I love my neighborhood. Everybody's so friendly. And I was looking for a property tax exemption for Gold Star spouses and for veterans. And it's only $300. So I'm not asking for a lot, but just something for that to be visited. It was kind of a slap in the face when I saw that. I'm like, $300? That's it. I do not mind paying school taxes. He got an amazing education and he's going to go to JCC and keep everything here in Jamestown. But I think something needs to be done a little bit more for property taxes for veterans and Gold Star spouses like myself. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, is that a city,
So part of the rules of the state, and the city can opt into certain things, but, we'll have to get that information together.
yeah, cause I usually, in my past, it was always the county. that
County and
set that.
state, yeah.
I looked into it, we did it, and I'm originally from Illinois, and my husband is from Cat County. But it's like on the local level, so I called the governor's office, and they said, yeah, every jurisdiction has its own
So
little.
the county sets the rule and the cities and towns and villages can opt in, is my
Yes.
understanding, but we will validate.
Yes, and I love Jamestown, I would love to stay here, but I just saw that, I'm like, it's gotta be a little bit better, but school taxes, I don't mind.
That's because you live in a great ward.
I love it, I love it.
Thank you.
And there's a Gold Star, Blue Star, and Mother Garden, second historical.
There is, we went and saw it, yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll look into it. Anyone else? I think we're, all right. All right, we'll move on. We'll go to housing first. Bill, you want to do a quick,
Thank you, Mr. President.
quick update on your housing?
Not a lot of action at our housing committee this evening, but we did have some public input. Speaking first was Missy Paterini and was very congratulatory towards the demolition of homes that are on our list that are happening. And so we did have some further discussion on some of the other houses that are on that list to see when Crystal's department might get at them or to them and put them in certain blocks where the neighborhoods they're close together. So we did have that discussion and it was nice to hear something positive that we're doing for the residents through DOD and getting some of these dilapidated houses torn down. Mr. Doug Champ spoke next. He was asking about the status of the comprehensive planning and zoning update and wants to make sure that the public's included, was his comment. And Crystal was able to explain that the next big opening of coming out with an opportunity to comment was September 10th. And the public certainly welcome, and it was 6 to 8 at Wicked Warren's brewery restaurant at 3rd and Lodge. So he added it, he'd like to see a component, and I couldn't answer it, but that there might be a citizen advisory group that could be spun off or added to or part of it for that time period. It's certainly a long process, and his comment, I agreed wholeheartedly, was instead of looking back, let's look forward. What changes do we need that might spur new homes, mini homes, tiny houses? What might spur more retail and commercial activity here in the city? So that was a lively discussion as well. Councilman Sheldon brought up the fact that somebody sent him a Second Ward Watch community Facebook page, I think, of some sort, or a letter stating that such a group was starting up, and none of us had heard of that. And so Brent, I don't know if you want to just add anything to that, but there might be a forthcoming application for a neighborhood watch, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a letter sent to a friend of mine who's also a landlord and a business in the city, stating that her property was in violation of several city codes, apparently sourcing some illegal activities as well. She had not been cited by the Department of Development. She had not had any contact with the police department on this matter either. It was kind of odd that there was like no contact information for this Second Ward Neighborhood Watch community. There was no return address, no phone number. You know, it was a pretty threatening letter. I'm gonna get a copy of it and provide that to Crystal and Tony, since it wasn't a Second Ward, stating that they were gonna turn her in for all these violations. Her one apartment house was falling down, which is not the case. I've been to this property. That there's illegal activity that she's not aware of. So it was just a strange anonymous letter. We're gonna look into that and find out, you know, if this is some kind of vigilante group or what.
Thank you, Brent, Mr. Sheldon. And lastly, we were informed that Crystal Surig, our Director of Development, is gonna be interviewing somebody later this week for filling that fourth position of her team. So, anything to add to that? We're hopeful that they'll enjoy the ride along and complete the employment process. So, keep up the good work. That's it, Mr. Brent.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, move on to finance, Brent.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had 10 resolutions tonight. This one was just added at the end. First one is a resolution seeking that Fred Larson, the retired city court judge, repay $1,576.70 for dental benefits that he was not entitled to. There were numerous requests in writing to Mr. Larson to reimburse the city for unlawful expenses incurred on his behalf, and has failed to make restitution. So we are resolving that the New York State Comptroller be requested to investigate the receipt by Mr. Larson of these taxpayer slips for the city retiree benefits, and that the city administration take all reasonable and appropriate actions to obtain full restitution for Mr. Larson, including the hiring of outside legal counsel and the commencement of litigation if necessary. That resolution was passed by our committee. Next is a resolution that the mayor is authorized to execute the purchase of hybrid exchange server online setup of Microsoft Office 365 services with Bright of Victor, New York, utilizing ARPA funds to cover the costs for both 2024 and 2025. Consulting fee of $11,250. The exchange online to Microsoft Teams was $32,206.80 annually. Total cost for 2024 and 2025 was $54,193. The IT did budget $17,000 for this, so the net amount to be covered by ARPA funds is $37,200. That motion was approved. Next is a resolution of the mayor and the deputy fire chief are authorized in a purchase agreement with Armor Selstrom of Jamestown, New York for the procurement of one winter traction package for a total amount not to exceed $1,851.78. This is for the new ambulance that we have purchased and received. The funding was previously approved ARPA funding. They did put that out and we approved that as well. Next is also the mayor and deputy fire chief are authorized to purchase from EWZ Surplus 3 Motorola CDM 1250 UHF mobile radios for a total amount not to exceed $449.97. This is also related to the purchase of the new ambulance. It was also previously approved with, to be spent with ARPA funding. That was approved. Next we have resolution to suspend the hiring freeze and to hire one clerk 2 in the Jamestown Police Department, which is currently budgeted, and there's a vacancy in that position. That was approved. Next we have the deputy fire chief for authorized mention of agreement with Shop Sign Company of Faulkner, New York for the installation of one vehicle graphics package for a total amount not to exceed $5,610.no. And everybody should have gotten a nice printout from the deputy fire chief of what the new ambulance is going to look like once all the graphics are installed. This was also to be spent money that was previously approved ARPA money along with the purchase of the ambulance. That was approved. Next, the resolution to enter an agreement with Collier's Engineering and Design of Albany, New York, amount not to exceed $22,500.no for engineering services for the inspection of 3 city-owned parking garages. This inspection was last performed in 2021 and recommended to be done every 3 years. So we are due, and this money will be coming from the building maintenance fund. That was approved. Next, we have, agreement to go into with Active Fence Incorporated, Vancouver, New York, for the fleet maintenance building, a new fence and gate space, bid opening August 14th, 2024. And we did receive 5 bids for that. Total amount was $43,500.08. List of 5 bidders. We did have one question for you, Mark. Was this coming from the ban that we had before?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's what we figured. That was approved. And there's another measure to hire, suspend a hiring freeze and hire a laborer in the Parks Department, or excuse me, Public Works Department. This position is vacant as a result of a resignation. That was approved. Finally, we had, last brief filed resolution, for the mayor to enter an agreement with R. Patty Concrete Excavating in Jamestown for Jefferson Street reconstruction, 2024, from 3rd Street to 4th Street. With various milling, asphalt, flat corner, curb and gutter, for a total amount of $83,300 $330 and no cents. We funded through CHIPS. They were the only bidder on this project, but as we've seen in the past, our Patty's usually the lowest bidder, so I'm sure Mark was comfortable with this bid as we were, so that was approved. We did receive some information about the splash pads. Originally $500,000 of ARPA funds were budgeted for that. We were told that Assemblyman Andrew Goodell was going to be giving a grant for $100,000 to help complete the splash pads. We have not received that. We're not sure if using ARPA funds to pay for that is the best thing, if possibly we should go through contingency or possibly the general fund budget at this point. And if we do get the fund back from the Assemblyman,
You can use or contingency, but general fund I would not recommend.
I was just concerned about, we didn't wanna use ARPA and have to reimburse ARPA this way if you use a contingency.
ARPA will all go to, lost revenue soon anyway, so. I just don't know if we're gonna get the grant. It was something that was started in the prior administration, and, my staff has asked Andy, and I sent him a text again last night about this, and he is checking, but we also know that it could also go into next year. So, we will try and follow up before the end of the month for next week's voting session, and see if we can get an answer for you.
yeah, we did table it because we just weren't comfortable with it at that point. We needed some more information. It can be brought up to the voting session on Monday.
And also, if we have to vote on it, what be your recommendation the best way to go?
Okay,
Whether it be
it's
ARPA
gonna
or
have to be
contingency.
voted on, cause we gotta pay the bill.
Right, I get that. Just don't know if we wanna pull out a contingency.
It's where you guys wanna pull it from, correct?
And then, finally, we did get, the second quarter sales tax report from the comptroller. It was projected to receive $2,296,467. The actual amount was $2,106,000 and $106,749, which was 8.3% below what was projected. So it's quite a big shortfall, of $189,700. For the year, we are actually short $260,557, which is 6.1% below what we had projected. So hopefully we'll have some of the better third and fourth quarter coming up. More people need to buy cars. It's always good. It's a shortfall. And that's all we have for finance.
There might be a typo on that, second column, third column over, you, for the first 2 quarters, you've got 100% allocated already. I think it should be quarterly, like 23, 21, see where that is, Erica?
Under the 24% column,
Yeah.
24% of total column.
Yeah, you've got, in 2 quarters, you said it's $100,000 already.
I'm just saying of the total today, but I can change it.
Yeah, cause you look at the other years, you break it out by quarter to get the exact percentage.
Well, we don't know what we've gotten in the last 2 quarters. So of what we've collected all year, those are the percentages. When the third quarter gets added, it'll split that off. That makes sense? Right?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
That's-
It's 100%
it's 100%
of the
what we
2
collected.
quarters.
Well, we have, yeah, okay.
Yes,
That's
and
fine.
it'll adjust.
Just the
We
way.
can't really project what we're gonna get and figure that in.
No, we have a percentage of what it is in total. That's all right.
Oh, yeah, I asked Erica, to make copies of this so we could see it, if you have any questions about it, and ask her, obviously, we're gonna need some healthy end of the year numbers, or we're gonna have a shortfall.
Significant one.
Everybody go out, start shopping. What's up? That's all I have, okay? We'll move on to public safety, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the amount of Amazon packages that come to my house, I would think that we'd be in the plus column. We have 4 resolutions. They were all on finance agenda as well. The first one was for the winter traction package. Deputy Fire Chief is authorized to enter into a purchase agreement with Barmore Sellstrom for the winter traction package for the amount of $1,851.78, which passed and also was on finance. The second one is resolve the mayor, deputy fire chief be authorized to enter into an online sales agreement for the purchase of the 3 Motorola mobile radios for the total amount not to exceed $449.97. That passed as well, and like I said, also on finance agenda. The third one was lifting the hiring freeze for the police department for the clerk 2 position. That also appeared on finance, and that was approved. Fourth resolution was for the mayor and deputy fire chief is authorized to enter an agreement with Choctaw Sign and Graphics for an amount of $5,610, and that was for the new ambulance, which Mr. Sheldon pointed out. We have photographs of what that's going to look like. It looks pretty sharp. That passed as well. And then we had a local law ordinance that was brought forward again, that was for the mobile food truck vendors. I know it was tabled here a few weeks ago because there were some questions about language in there. One of the things that was straightened out was the distance that the food trucks can be from brick and mortar restaurants. I did receive or hear about some complaints from one particular restaurant where a mobile food truck was parked right in front of the restaurant during an event. So there is language in there now as far as distances from brick and mortar restaurants.
Jeff, have the fees been discussed on what the fees are gonna be for these trucks? So there's nothing in the code that shows what they're gonna be charging.
The,
I wanna say it's 300 a year.
I don't know what the exact number is, but there is.
I think it's 300.
There are like 3 different categories too.
Yeah.
The types of food trucks.
So that should go in the fee schedule. I'm not sure you
Yeah.
wanna put it in the ordinance, Elliot. Because then every time you make a change to the
Yeah.
fee structure, you gotta change the ordinance.
Yes.
So, we can get you that.
Okay, excellent.
But you don't wanna put it in the language of the
Right.
ordinance, otherwise you.
Correct, otherwise we have to
I'll
change
send
it.
that out.
Okay, sounds good. Alright, that makes sense. So, that passed with us, and then we had a couple special events. The first one was for the Dan Feather 5K annual event on September 1st, 2024, from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., including setup and tear down. The start finish line will be on Baker Street at Bergman Park. That passed. And then the second special event was the New York, or the Labor Day, Jamestown Labor Day Festival, be held on September 1st as well, 2024, from 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. setup beginning August 29th, 2024, at 7 a.m. tear down beginning September 3rd at 7 a.m. at Bergman Park. Question did get brought up was, is the construction going to be done up there that is going to make it feasible for these events to take place?
It's still on track to be completed before the Labor Day festival.
Okay, all right, sounds good. So those both passed, and then
The runners can't go through anything, no runner. We'll make it a cross-country run, I'll have to run through that.
the other thing that was kind of brought up and discussed that we forgot about after the meeting was we had Mr. Franco, who lives up on, I believe on Prather, who sent an email to Mr. Reynolds. He's really concerned about the safety of the area of Forest Avenue and Prather, and he's requesting a four-way stop at that intersection.
It's two-way now, right, Jeff?
Correct,
It's
two-way
two-way.
now. He'd like to see it a four-way stop, but from what I understand, and that Mr. Reynolds pointed out to me that that's a county road. And I was wondering, or maybe Randy can discuss it as far as looking or doing a study there for a possible four-way stop.
I think it might be a state road. Forest Avenue is.
Mark is a state road, I'm sure, right?
Forest Ave is a state.
State road.
Yeah,
So we can't,
so now
it's up to them.
they'd have to weigh in.
His concern was every street going up the hill, every through traffic street, Superior, well, not Superior, Cole, Newland, they all through streets have four ways or a light. And so he's concerned, and if people sneak out, they do, there's crosswalks there.
Yeah, and he was concerned about the speed of individuals coming down that hill, and that someone's gonna get hurt. He's witnessed accidents there before, so,
Mark,
with
you
the
know
state
who-
road.
who to send that to? Do we know who to send that request to?
Yeah, I can find out.
We can forward it, we got the same letter in our email.
Okay. So, that was it. That's all we had.
Thank you. Randy, Public Works?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. We had 4 resolutions that were covered in finance, and they were for the inspection of the parking ramps that are done every 3 years. State law for have them inspected for structural deficiencies. To backfill labor in the public works, spoke of that earlier, and Jefferson Street reconstruction from 3rd to 4th Street, and that is pretty entailed. They're gonna do a little bit of flat work cement along with some paving and laying of new brick. All 3 they're going to do. And we did talk about Hazeltine and Baker Street finishing up for the Labor Day Fest along with the school opening, and that is projected to be on time. I was up there looking at it myself today, and they just have to lay a top coat of blacktop, and they're working on they're putting in sidewalks right now. So that's doing fairly well. So the other, the thing we did talk about, moving into the new city garage down on Washington Street, that is, they're moving in slowly now, and they will be completely moved in sometime in September. And Missy Paterniti spoke with us inquiring about adding and or changing stop signs on Lakeview Avenue for the main reasons for speed control. And we had a discussion about that, and Mark is gonna take a look at it when he gets time up there and see what changes would be beneficial. I mean, Mark elaborated on a lot of times stop signs don't really curb speeding. And I mean, that could be debatable, but either way. So we're gonna check that in and see to see what might want to work out over there. Maybe Jeff will want a stop sign in front of your house, I don't know.
No, you don't want one really.
You know, yeah, because when they floor it with no muffler.
It becomes noisy.
Yeah. So, but anyways, and that's all that we had in our committee.
Thank you. Anything else before we go to the mayor's report? If not, yeah.
I'm gonna be rather quick. All of you received the email that the fire department actually received a $330,270 grant for their new for replacing their air packs, which are gonna become outdated. So that is good news. Last week, myself, Joe from my office, and Crystal attended the closing of, if some of you that were here before, the Good Jobs, Great Cities initiative that we had to try to get great jobs in the cities. Had met with 16 total cities that received this initial award. Doesn't sound like they're going to do another award, unfortunately. However, I did sign up for a, I guess if you would call it an alliance, to remain in contact with those 15 other cities to see what they're doing as far as creating jobs, mostly in manufacturing. I will say that despite us being the smallest city, I think we had a lot to share at the table, but also was disheartening to use that cities such as Santa Fe, Fort Lauderdale, all are experiencing the same exact problems we have with homelessness, transportation, and childcare being the top 3 for jobs. So it kind of was scary in a way, but also very informative, I thought. Todd Tranum has been running that. I did receive a report from him. When I read through that report, I will send it to you all so you have a little bit of background for that too. Crystal, anything else you want to add for that?
No.
Was a quick trip.
It was quick.
We were supposed to be there by 7 o'clock. We didn't get there till almost midnight because we
Yeah.
were delayed at the airport last Monday, and we were back Wednesday evening. So it was a quick trip, but it was very eventful, I thought. This week, I'm sure Erica shared with the finance committee, she has begun budget discussions preliminary with each department. She had one today, 2 tomorrow, I believe. So I just wanted to keep you abreast that we are working on that. I think I addressed pretty much, Elliot addressed the Facebook issue question. The other issue, Bill, I wanted to add that there are 2 new homes being built up on East Virginia Circle, that area this year. So there are 2 new homes, and I know there's a 3rd and 4th that are still engaged in conversation with DOD. I don't know that they'll come to fruition this year, next year, if at all, but there are some new developments, which is promising.
I spoke to the one couple and they were very enthusiastic and are looking forward to it.
Both have been very excited about it. So that's some good news. I'm sure all of you got and read the press release that went out Friday regarding what we have done as far as homelessness since declaring a state of emergency. I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of details. I'm not going to go into anything that wasn't said in that press release that you all received, but I do want to clarify a couple of false statements that are going around. We did not throw the Reverend Pastor, whatever, I don't mean to be offending, I'm not, him out. He showed up here unannounced. We heard that morning that he was coming. I actually met him there. It was the morning that we did a point in time count, and there was a lot of activity and a lot of movement, and I asked him to reach out. Mr. Faulkner met me there and went with me, and to consolidate with some of our agencies who are providing services currently. And that was the end of our discussion. That's where it ended. He said he had to go get to work. I left. Andrew stayed for a few minutes, and that was it. So everything else that's been explained, or I will say it, dramatized on social media, isn't really what happened. The other thing is we have completed one entire suite thoroughly, and we did that a week ago with great success. We weren't sure how many homeless were there. We did help. It was an alley that is the city-owned alley. It was cleaned out in its entirety. we assisted 4 people to get off homelessness. Not we in the city, we, the collaborated group of agencies that are in the business of providing those services, not the city. However, I want for clarity that I want to clear over and over again. We have been doing outreach since I took office in January on homelessness. Declaring the state of emergency has actually increased the amount of outreach these people have been visited with, talked to. I'm going to just read through again publicly, so this is recorded, that we have had help from Mobile Crisis, Adult Protective Services, Mental Hygiene, Probation, Jamestown Police and Fire Departments, Department of Development, the Department of Public Works, the Chautauqua County Executive and his staff, the Office of Emergency Services for the county, the Office of Temporary Assistance, the Mayor's Office, members of Jamestown City Council, and I'm sure I've probably missed somebody here and there. But those have been the main offices and the main departments and services, not to mention all the not-for-profit agencies that are out there doing the legwork that is their business. And finally, the last thing I want to clear up, because there's a lot of incorrect statements being made that the city has received an overabundance of funding since we declared a state of emergency. We have received nothing. In fact, the city receives $0 to address homelessness. What we have spent in these cleanups, including today, was money that we moved from CDBG. And so other programs that were in CDBG are now being impacted by that, but it has to be paid for and we have to clean it up. There are serious health risks. And I'm gonna be blunt and say that in one encampment, they were using stacked tires as a toilet. So that's just one little thing. So I understand that they're homeless. I have empathy. They are being offered all kinds of services. UCAN has room. I've done outreach with Niagara Falls Veterans Shelter, who have offered assistance and bedding. We have done outreach we have engaged in conversations with the state's office, the federal offices, the local county officials. All of us have been partners, and I want that clear that there is a huge collaboration of services being offered to them. They're not being thrown out. In any of the cleanups we have done, no one has been arrested. If they are getting arrested because they're homeless, it's because they have other issues associated. Whether it's a warrant, whether it's whatever it may be. So they're not being arrested because they are homeless. They are being arrested because of other illegal activity. So I want that clear. That is it, as far as that is concerned. And I have 3 items for executive session. 1 is personnel, and 2 are litigation.
Mrs. Baird, can you comment on an event tomorrow that COI is happening at the Northwest Arena?
I will be glad to, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to leave. She knows more than I do, as she has been the lead in this. So, Crystal?
Yes, it's Doug, it's a debrief for the point in time count that was held last week. So all of the agencies and members of the Homeless Coalition that participated are invited, but it is open. And the intent is to discuss the numbers that were counted, talk about next steps, talk about what was observed, any of the data that was collected, and then how to move forward.
And the point in time count is nothing new, that happens annually and it's been going on for a long time.
Yes, that's correct. This is actually the second of, well, it's the first of 2024, but it's the second within the last number of months. So because we've seen such a rise in homelessness, the last point in time count was done in December of 2023, and we know that that number is much lower than what's accurate. So because of this collaboration, the Homeless Coalition elected to organize another point in time count.
This might be probably a question I might ask tomorrow, because I plan on attending.
Sure.
Do you know if they ask individuals where they're from?
There is a questionnaire, and I believe it was just the zip code
Okay.
that was included.
Of your last address.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So,
'Cause I just know I stopped down to the Viaduct one night at about 11 p.m. and I talked to some individuals.
yeah.
And one gentleman told me he was from California,
Mm-hmm.
and another gentleman told me that he was from Florida.
Yeah.
Okay,
Alright, so we have 3 items for executive session.
should be quick, no action taken.
Personnel and 2
Make a
possible
motion.
litigation. So move, second. Joe, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, in
You
executive
need Chris